Okay, so for today's notes, we're going to be watching some videos. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to fill out this graph based on the video that we watch. So how did I get distance from bench 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Well, if I start watching this video, it says to me, right? It says distance from bench in feet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now, the first time we watch this, we are just going to watch it all the way through. That's it. So let's watch. Notice in the bottom left, there's a timer happening. That's the seconds that is at the bottom of your graph on your notes. All right, at half speed now, we are going to draw the graph to the best of our ability. So you'll actually get to see me draw in real time. So we're looking at the barbell's distance in the video from the bench that the young man is laying on, okay? So try and see how your graph looks as you draw. And it's gonna go significantly slower. Okay, so here's my graph you can see on the right here. But on the left, they're actually going to give us the answers. So let's see how well you did. Okay, so this is the graph that we are going to be using. Let me adjust my graph so that it matches. Okay, so my graph wasn't even close. So I took a picture from the video. So the first thing that we're asked in letter D is what's the distance, what distance was the lowest and what was the highest? Well, the lowest distance is right here, and that value is 1.5. That is the lowest, is 1.5 feet. The highest distance, well, the highest is when he gets the barbell up. And this occurs at 3 feet, okay? The next question asks us, what times did the bar get the lowest? So the times that it was the lowest. Well, here it's low, and that time is 1 second. Here this is low, and that time is 4 seconds. Here's another lowest point, and that time is about 6.1 seconds. Here's another low point, and I said that was about 9.25 seconds. Here's another low point, that's about 11 seconds. So those are all the times that it gets the lowest. Sometimes there's more than one, sometimes there's less than one. Next up is the times the bar was the highest. Well, the bar was the highest when you started off, and that first time is 0. The next time it's at the highest point is at 2 seconds. The next time it's at the highest point is about 5 seconds. The next time it's at the highest point, that's about 7.5 seconds. And then the last time it's at the highest point is at the very end at 15 seconds. So here are all the different times where the bar is at the highest point. All right, next question is, what are the times when the bar is going up? So when is our graph increasing, right? So these are time frames. Well, it's increasing from 1 second to 2 seconds. So I'm going to say 1 to 2. It's increasing again from 4 to 5. It's increasing again from 6 to 7.5. Sorry, I almost messed that up. 6 to 7.5. And then it's increasing again. This is a weird one. It's increasing here and it stops about right there. So that's 9.25. And I will say that's about 10.5. So 9.25 to 10.5. And then the last one, there's quite a bit for the time it's increasing. It's from 11 seconds all the way up here to 5 seconds. I'm sorry, 15. So these are all the times that it is increasing. Okay, next up, what times is the bar was the bar going down? So let's do that. So what times was this bar going down? So looking at our graph, when is our graph going in a downwards direction? Well, that's from 0 to 1, 2 to 4, 5 to 6, and then 7.5 to 9.25, and there's this little itty bitty spot right here that we're going down. So let's write all of those, shall we? So we have 0 to 1, then we have 2 to 4, then we said 5 to 6, then we said 7.5 to 9.25, and then last we said from 10.5 to 11. And all of these are in seconds because it was asking us about the times. Last one is, what times were the bar not going up or down? So basically, when was it flat on the graph? Okay. And looking at our graph here, there is nowhere where it is straight flat. So what times? No times. There are no times when it's flat on the graph. Okay, next, example 2, we are going to look at the video. All right, height of the waist off the ground. Make sure we filled our y-axis. So let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna watch the video all the way through first. All right, now we're gonna watch it again at half speed. And again, we're focusing on his waist, okay? So your waist is where your hips are. So how far is his hips off of the ground where the wood chips are? All right, so you guys see my graph. Maybe yours is somewhat similar, but now they're going to give us the answer. So let's look at what the answer is. All right, so mine was pretty close. But let's use the actual answer to work off our problems, okay? So mine was, kind of close. I did pretty good. Letter D, what distance was the lowest and highest his waist got? So the lowest the waist got, when is the lowest point on our graph, right? That's pretty much what it's asking of us. Well, the lowest is right here. And I would say the height of this is about I don't know, 1.4 feet off the ground. The highest his weight got, so the highest his waist was way up here. And that, let's say, is about 9.5 feet off the ground. Okay? Now, next asks us the time his waist was the lowest. So here is the time. So we're looking at the x-axis, right? Well, it was the lowest at about 13.6 seconds, right? It's a guesstimation. It's a little bit more than half, way between 13 and 14. The next question asks us, what time was it when his waist was at the highest? So looking at when his waist was the highest, that's right here. If I drop straight down, well, that's about 5.5 seconds. Next question is, what were the times the dude's waist was going up? So when were we going upwards in our graph? Well, I see we're going upwards from here to here, and that time is 1 second to 5.5 seconds. So we got 1 to 5.5, but there's one more time his waist is going up, and that's at the very end. His waist goes up from what we said was 13.6 seconds in orange all the way to the end at 15 seconds. All right. Next question we got is, what time was the dude's waist going down? So when were we going downwards in our graph? Well, we're actually going downwards starting from here. This is in a down direction, and then it keeps going to about right here. Well, if I drop down, that is about 7.6. So from 7.6, that's the end, and it started at 5.5. So he went down from 5.5 to 7.6. And there's one more time that he's dropping down. He's dropping down in this part of the graph, and that is from 12 to what we said was 13.6. So he also went from 12 to 13.6 seconds. That's when his waist was getting lower. The next question is, let's do it in red. When we see not going up or down, when was the graph flat? When was his waist not going up or down? So the times we see for that, well, we see that right here. That's a nice long flat line, and we said this was 7.6, and then that goes all the way up to 12 seconds. So we have 7.6 to 12. But earlier in the graph, his waist stayed at the same height from 0 to 1 seconds. From 0 to 1 seconds. So there were 2 times on our graph where it was flat, where he wasn't going up or down. Next one is the distance from home plate. So we're going to look at that part of the YouTube video now. So first we're going to want to fill out our table, fill out the y-axis using this information. And let's watch the video this first time. All right, the second time we're gonna watch it at half speed, and he starts at home plate. So here's my graph. As you can see, it's not great, but let's look at what the actual answer is. Okay, so that's the actual graph, so let's use that. All right, so I'll bring that image on over for us, and here it is. So once again, mine was kind of close, not exactly. So when was he the closest? What was the closest distance he was from home plate? Well, the closest he was 0 feet away, right? That's as close as you can get. In the next one, though, when was he the furthest? Well, the furthest is up top here. That's the tippy top of my graph. And I drew my line kind of crooked, but it looks like this is about, I'm going to say the furthest he was away was about 115 feet, right? Because look, this goes from 108 to 120, and it's about a little bit more than halfway in between. So I'm going to say that's about 115. So what times was he the closest? What were the times he was the closest? Well, he's the closest, because again, we're talking about times from now on. He was the closest at 0 and over here at 15 seconds. That's when he was the closest to home plate. Then it asks us, when is he the furthest? What times was he furthest? Well, the furthest he was away from home plate was up at the top here, and that time is 7 seconds. All right, number G is what times, good gravy, what times were his distance from home plate getting bigger? So when was our graph increasing, right? Because the further he got, the bigger or larger our graph was going upwards. Well, we see that from 0 seconds, and some people like to stop here, but it's still going up. So it's from 0 to 7 seconds that the distance is increasing. Next up, we have when is the distance when is the distance from home plate getting closer? So when is your graph going down? Well, that's from 7 seconds to, and some people like to stop here, but no, the graph is still going downwards. It's still decreasing. So that's from 7 to 15 seconds that it's decreasing. And then last is when is the distance not getting closer or further away? When is like our graph flat? And there are no times for that, right? Our graph is not flat at any point. Okay, so you don't have to do this page here, but these two pages, this is your homework, same types of questions that we just did. All right, so everyone, I'll see you in class next time.